Hey, beautiful soul, Kathleen here. I thought I would just pop in today with a little story about my first experience with animal communication, which is something that's very near and dear to my heart. If you're anything like me, animals are so much more than just a pet, like some people feel they are. They're such like a soul companion, a best friend. Sometimes we'd rather be around animals than people because they're not judgmental, they're authentic and they're just themselves. And they're really amazing to those of us who are what I call animal empaths, sensitive animal lovers. So we're empathic. We can't stand to see animals suffering. Videos come up on social media of suffering animals, and it's, really heart-wrenching for us, and we want to save all of them. And so I've always been on that journey of being an animal empath from when I was feeding a kitten in the barn when I was a little kid and, always rescuing animals. And I've had many animals over the years. And I've been overall in the healing arts world for over 20 years. So I started out in clinical hypnotherapy, life coaching, and mind body wellness, and helping people getting unstuck in their life, getting their weight into balance, things like that. And I think I was just remembering, but I believe it was about 17 years ago. Um, I had a Chihuahua that passed away, and he had been a rescue. And I'd been single for years, and he was, my buddy and my pal. And he, was 15 years old and had a seizure. He had to be euthanized. And I have an itch, but anyway, I have a little itch. Um, but what happened was I remember going to work and I felt like I had this knife in my chest. It was just this such a deep emotional pain. And like I said, I'd been doing intuitive healing work with other people, but I hadn't really thought about or maybe believed in animal communication or that, anybody could do it or whatever. And it's that lack of belief that kind of, keeps the door shut. But anyway, somehow I found this woman who did animal communication. And we did a session, just one session, and it was awesome because it was like this weight had been lifted, and I understood that it was his time. I couldn't have stopped it. I wanted to save him, like many of us do. We want to save our animals, we want to nurture them, we want to bring them back to health. And sometimes it's just their time, and we can't stop it. But that session was so helpful and so healing for me. And that was the first thing that opened the door to animal communication and got me thinking about it. And then fast forward later, years later, I started practicing as part of my healing work horse massage and thought, well, wouldn't it be great to combine animal communication, energy healing, and horse massage? Because I realized this animal communication thing wasn't about, like certain people having some magic gift that nobody else has, only they have it. We all have an intuition, and especially animal empaths. But the problem is we can be picking up on so much stuff out there, right? Stuff on social media and the news and what the neighbor thinks and whatever, and it kind of clogs up our receiving of stuff sometimes, and that's when we can get stuck in our own life as well. But I dove into going deeper into my own intuition, opening the door, trusting and believing in the messages, because that's part of it. It's like trusting our intuition, believing what we're getting, and having a process that helps us to open that door and receive and not block things that are coming through and or trying to come through. And so I broke through that barrier and started going really deeper with animals, and I went online with it. And the thing that I loved so much was animals in spirit because, it's just pure positive energy. I mean, there's nothing negative. Nobody's suffering, nobody's in pain or whatever. And, I could always see like their human was like way down in the dumps, feeling so much grief and struggling to find the peace of mind that they were craving and missing their animals so desperately. And their animal, was such, high vibe, way up there at the top. And certainly no animosity coming from animals, that's for sure. And the unconditional love continues. And, I remember that first session I had with another healer, and then, of course, diving into it myself. And COVID happened, and my husband got sick, and I went off on various tangents in my life. And lately have been feeling the call extremely strong from the animal angels. It's like, hello, hello, we're still here. And we want people to know that we don't die, and that we're still around. And by the way, they're not waiting somewhere on, at the bridge somewhere, just waiting. I mean, their guidance and their presence can still be felt. And I certainly love bringing things through for people to help them heal and find that peace of mind. So, long story short, animal communication, or what I call animal angel communication, is an amazing healing and powerful tool. And I teach it as well through my Mastering Animal Communication program. And I've also opened up an animal angel communication session, which I thought, like I say, I'm probably ADHD, like a lot of people are out there, and I go off on other tangents. And I've been hearing the call very strongly. This world needs healing. People need healing. People need to get back to or get into spirituality and understand, that their animal's not gone. And so this is the message that I want to bring through. And so I've opened up that session. And of course, there's my Mastering Animal Communication program. I also do a complimentary call, and it's an Animal Angel Clarity call, which, for those people who are really, they're at a turning point in their life. We sense sometimes when um change is coming. Maybe a relationship is coming to an end, or a career is coming to an end, or we're feeling that nudge to go in a different direction. Maybe we don't feel like where we live is the place we want to live anymore, but we just can't get clear on our next steps. What are the next steps? What is my vision? What's holding me back? And so I also shouldn't say use, but tap into the animal guidance, with help in that area as well as intuitive guidance to help back and on track. So that's another option. But anyway, I just wanted to tell the story about how I came to know animal communication and learn later that it doesn't take, some extra special person to do it. You're all special. And, my hat's off to all of the other sensitive animal lovers out there that feel as deeply as I do and know that when we clear our heart and mind and we have the right steps and we have the guided meditations that take us deeper into our own inner knowing and inner guidance and, belief in ourselves, build our confidence, then we can open the door and move forward. And I've also helped other healers who work with animals, like dog grooming, for example, who use animal communication to help the dogs they're working with and understanding them better. So whether it's your own animals, whether it's, you know, whether they're living, whether they're in spirit, whether you're a healer, it's such an awesome tool. And it comes back as the thing that I really love the most out of all the healing tools that I've used in my career as a healer. So, anyway, I just wanted to talk about animal communication, share how it all began, and if you have any questions, reach out or book a call with me. Um, would love to connect with you and help you out. So, there's some resources in the description here. Um, so anyway, check that out. And thank you for being here. Big hugs, whether you're on my channel or in my group, um, the Animal Angel Connection, and just also changed my YouTube channel to include Animal Angel meditations and messages. So that's more in alignment with how I'm helping others. So, anyway, just thought I'd mention that. And big hugs to you. And I hope you have an awesome weekend. Check out my meditations to help you go deep into your intuition and do something for you. Love yourself a little more. What would your animal angel advise you to do? If they were there loving you, what would they say that you need right now in this moment? Something to think about. Thank you again. Bye for now. I'll be back soon.